Let's jump into a card chat. It's been a little while. I'm Tiffany Welch with Prestige Purpose, business strategist and business mentor here, helping service-based small businesses just really reach clarity. And I was thinking about, sometimes life is just unpredictable, right? I've really been working on some really cool client projects. It's actually my favorite thing to do is to build the systems with them, training programs and reorganizing like Google Drives. Oh my gosh, that is so much fun. And living in a little chaos over here. So I teach a class on clarity. We called it Clear the Clutter. It has a new name coming out. I can't drop that just yet. But during that class, we talk about physical clutter, we talk about mental clutter, and we talk about emotional clutter. Physical, mental, and emotional clutter. And I've been trying to sell my house since it went on the market in August, and it showed every single weekend. Nobody came to look during the week, which was fine with me because we travel on weekends. Everybody that came to look at it wanted to buy it. A lot of these people that came to buy it were not able to place an offer because they didn't actually have funding and they had not been pre-approved for funding. And so when we did get an offer, it took a little bit of negotiating, was a full price offer, and landed on like the final offer. I can't remember what the terms were now. Rock and rolled through it. It was the worst transaction I had ever been through, and I've sold many houses. I used to own rent houses, so we sold those off at some point in time, right? Plus my personal homes that I've lived in before. So going through this transaction, my realtor's like apologizing, and it's the worst transaction I've ever been in because the buyer's agent kept dropping the ball, missing deadlines. My whole company is about clarity, communication, strategy. This is what I live for. And I had none of that. My realtor had none of that. My realtor spent one Saturday, because we didn't have any answers, calling the lender, emailing, texting all day. Finally gets the lender on the phone and says, "Have you heard from the buyer's agent? We cannot make contact. A deadline was missed, and we haven't heard anything back." And at that point in time, we were told everything's fine. We're going to close next Tuesday. No worries. And my agent brought up a very important question and said, "We haven't even seen this paperwork yet, which has to go to the title company. Who are you closing with so we can call and get them the information?" And she was like, "Oh, I don't know who we're closing with yet. We haven't picked a title company," which was a red flag. So my realtor instantly called me and she's like, "We're not closing. Something is going on. We are not closing. They don't even have the title company set up yet, which the title company needs X, Y, and Z, and this is their timeline for all of that to work." And I said, "Thank you so much for letting me know. I'm going to rearrange my plans." I was supposed to be speaking on a stage. I think it was the day before we closed. It was that Monday. So I was like, "Thank you so much," because my travel plans were going to be extremely tight, and I was just going to figure it out. Like, I was going to just make it work, drive all night if I had to. So it ended up falling through. They did push that deadline. I gave them grace of like a week, and then finally they missed another deadline, and I just said, "You know what? I'm done. They have missed so many deadlines. This is causing disruption in my mental chaos." So my mental state was in chaos because of this. And I said, "Just put it back on the market." Within the next week, she called and she was like, "Hey, we have another full price offer, and I have 2 more people going to look at it this afternoon. And here's the offer. What do you want to do?" And I'm literally like heading out of town to go travel. And I said, "You know what? You already know what I've agreed to. You know my boundaries. You know where I'm sitting and how I feel about things. What is your professional opinion?" So she gives me her professional opinion and says, "Let's match the offer that you just had. It's a full price offer. That one was too. Here's what we offered, countered back." And she said, "Let's just see what happens. But I think that this deal is going to be better. I've worked with this agent before, and I can see that the transaction, like, I can foresee the transaction's going to be smooth. And I said, let's do it. I had full trust in the agent that I hired. I interviewed several, and she was the one that came highly recommended from actually from my physical therapist. And she also had the Google reviews to back her up. She also had the communication skills that I was looking for, and I was very upfront with her. I'm very hard to reach. I travel a whole heck of a lot. My phone lives on silent because I have to be in a clear state of mind to work on my clients' projects. She knew all of this up front, and she was like, okay, that's not a problem. I love to communicate. What form works best for you? And I'm like, shoot me a text. I will get to it. If it's important, pick up the phone and call. And she has followed that every step of the way. So she gets me. She knows my work ethic. It's just like hers, actually. And so today I'm on my way to the closing of our house. This has been a seamless transaction. It's took less than 30 days. Even with the government shutdown, the buyers had a loan method with the government shutdown that was going to hold the process up. They switched their funding method to be able to close because they also want to move into the house. So working together and seeing the structure between the two agents and the title company, because the title company obviously has to work with them too, seeing the structure that happens there and the systems that they have in place, everything went smoothly. I have only had to fill out 3 documents with an e-signature. On the other transaction, it was, I need another signature because the realtor forgot this. I need another signature because they've changed this. I need another. It was constant. This has been the most seamless. I think it's only been like 3 weeks. And then we get down to the close date. I had to speak on stage on Monday. I couldn't do it on Monday. Tuesday was a national holiday. We are closing today. I feel terrible that we had to push the closing. They tried to do it on Friday even because I was in town. I was like, I'm only in town till 1 o'clock. And they could close on Friday, but they could not close until after 1 o'clock. And I had a photo shoot I had to be at. There was no way I could push things with my entire team. And so I was like, you know what? I have to be there for those photos. I'm so sorry. It's been planned. We could rearrange it, but the next date's not until like after Christmas. So we made it work, and we are actually headed to the closing table. When you are in mental chaos, whether you create it or someone around you creates it, there are ways to cope with it and there are ways to get out of it. And I knew that I had to stay true to who I am during that chaotic phase. I knew eventually the house was going to close, right? Like eventually it will close. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, it kind of is. I've been paying double mortgage for a few months now, double utilities. But looking at the big picture, it wasn't that big of a deal. I still had a place to live. When we were supposed to initially close, I had to rush and go rent a house. I didn't buy, I rented, because I had 3 days initially. We were supposed to close. I was leaving town on a Thursday for a race, Thursday, Friday, Saturday race, staying in another town 2 hours away on a Sunday to see my family. On Monday, I had to be at my office, which is 2 hours away. And then we were supposed to close that Tuesday. So I was like, well, looks like we're moving out on Wednesday. And we did. We went and found a place, this is crazy, the Monday prior to move into. And that's a whole other story. I might get into that here in just a second. But rushed because it was either that or we're going to have to move into the motorhome. I'd already put down a deposit on the initial close date. Had a cute condo that I really wanted held for us. The pricing was fantastic. The location was amazing. It was 1 street over from our church. And I just really wanted that property. And I had to call and say, you know what, on Labor Day, I had to call and say, it looks like we're not going to close. You can go ahead and release that house. And they did, and that crushed me, having to release that house. So here we are. We're closing today, and the clarity that I have around this situation is like mentally thoughts are flowing. There is zero chaos. I feel free, which is a very nice feeling. And I feel like I'm going to just get a little emotional, even though, if you know my house story, I hated this house. Hated it. And It was on 5 acres. It was a 5-bedroom, 2-bath mobile home. I didn't want a mobile home. It's not what I wanted. When I bought, the market was really crazy. Our lease had just gone up on the condo that we had. And so I was like, let's just find a house. And after putting in so many offers, when I got to this one, I was like, let's just see what happens. And it went through. But I hated it. 5 bedrooms. We are a single family. It's just the 2 of us and our dog. And we didn't need 5 bedrooms. I can't live in large spaces. Even when I do Airbnbs, if it's a 2-bedroom, we keep the 2nd bedroom closed. I cannot be around large spaces like that. I'm an introvert. But the space overwhelms me. And so clarity is what I need. Mental clarity keeps me focused, and you can't have a lot of chaos around you. So in that time frame that I lived in that house for over 4 years, the space was overwhelmed. I had to keep 4 of the bedroom doors closed, the other bathroom closed, the laundry room closed. But the living room was a double living room, so it was huge, and we could not utilize the space correctly. I had my office desk in there at one point in time because I was like, I'll just work from here. I couldn't do it. That's why I started working from the coffee shop every single day and utilizing their space because it was a small, cute space, calming environment. So I want you to remember that chaos can happen in your life, but there are ways to calm that chaos down. There are ways to get rid of the physical clutter. There's also ways to get rid of the mental clutter, because that mental clutter affects everything that you do, not just in your day, but also in your life. And keeping that in mind is going to be really important as you are trying to progress your own life. I want you to think about what's causing chaos in your life, and I want you to write those things down. I want you to really note those things that are causing chaos. When you're like, oh, so frustrated, write that down and start determining what can you do to release that chaos. And maybe it's that you pass the torch like I did to my realtor. I'm like, hey, you know what I need and you know what I want, and I want you to take care of that for me. And she was like, okay, got it, not a problem. So think about those things, and what can actually help you move forward is identifying where the chaos is starting, and then you can determine how am I going to handle it. And if you want help with it, jump in my inbox, Tiffany@prestigepurpose.com, and ask me a question. That is what I'm here for. I'm here to help you, whether you're a client of mine or not. I want you to have clarity.